All right, we've got more news to get to today, including what's next on the rundown. We want to talk about corporations. This is one of my biggest pet peeves, I think yours as well. These companies that make profits hand over fist, and they make profits hand over human, where they get to like walk all over human beings in the process. It drives me nuts. No much, what am I trying to say here?
What are you trying to say here?
No more so, that's what I was trying to say. No more so than when these companies hurt families that can't have no means of protecting themselves. They can't hire fancy lawyers. Mm-hmm. They can't hire these $10,000 lawyers to say that, hey, my drinking water is filled with methane, or that my child is dying of cancer because you poured something in our waterway. They don't have this money, and then they basically suffer in private. We've been reporting on the newsletter, which is morninginvest.com. Hopefully you've been reading it. There have been big research studies lately that talk about these forever chemicals. These are like phthalates, bisphenol. They're called PFAS. Forever chemicals is what I'm going to call them. For the cool kids, PFAS, yes, forever chemicals. And they are basically manufactured into things that we buy in the store. So for instance, they're in a bottle that your shampoo is in. They're in the salad dressing as a preservative or as a sealant to keep that in there. They're in your makeup. They're in your personal care. They're in your oral care, right? So now the Environmental Protection Agency, which is a government agency, has a plan to get rid of these forever toxins. Just kidding. They have no such plan. They have announced a plan to measure them. They don't have any plan to ask any manufacturing company to remove them. So what are they saying? They're saying that they will, quote, subdivide the thousands of PFAS compounds based on their toxicity. So they're going to make us a list, which is so nice, based on their chemical structure, based on the techniques used to remove them from the environment. Then they're going to identify the gaps in these research. And then in some cases, they're going to ask that these companies voluntarily stop making them or come up with a solution to take them out of the environment. It's voluntary. So far, no company has actually taken them up on doing that. And people who are actually harmed by these chemicals, which, by the way, is all of us, but people who are really suffering from, say, birth defects, right? Other loss of life type things. These are the like Aaron Brockovich stories of the world, right? You grew a third arm. This is bad stuff. It is happening. Are saying this is not enough. We don't need a white paper from you. We need you to come up with a solution saying, hey, Procter & Gamble, you can't put that tampon chemical in a baby diaper. Maybe that's why we have infertility. Hey, Procter & Gamble, we don't need phthalates in baby bottles or salad dressings. Or here's an example. While we live in Europe, I have tried to learn to can, right? Mm-hmm. I like to get these glass jars and I put them in a submersion canning device, and I preserve, say, all the tomatoes that I've grown, mm-hmm. or the cabbage or what have you. And in America, we use ball jars. That's BALL. And they have that like sealant jar, and you screw it on and then it vacuum seals. Well, those jars are lined with bisphenol for whatever reason. And so I look to see like, what can I buy here to jar my tomato sauce? You cannot buy ball jars in Europe because they are lined with bisphenol. But in America, you absolutely can. Grow your own food. It's healthy. And then line it with bisphenol. Right? Why is that not allowed here? And it is allowed in America. I do not understand. Baby. You know what? If I want to have my light bulbs that cause problems, if I want to have my chemicals that can line my ball jar and give my kids cancer, that's my American right.
Well, you're going to hear an echo, but sodium benzoate is a preservative in food here, but it's illegal in Europe.
I mean, there's a whole laundry list of chemicals that are not allowed in Europe. And, the thing is, so my sister-in-law...
Roundup?
Roundup? Like that was
Roundup is made in Germany, actually. Yeah,
and
is
got
not
bought by Bayer. But now Bayer was like, you know what? We're tired of all the bad publicity around Roundup, so we're ending it.
Right. And when I was becoming a new mom, it was all about BPA free, like get the BPA free stuff, right? But that just means that there's no bisphenol A, but the plastic company has replaced it with bisphenol S. And so that's a marketing scheme. You still should just be using no plastic, because plastics are a synthetic that leach chemicals into whatever it is you're drinking from. It's pretty terrible. And so my sister-in-law illustrated this beautifully. She's a vegetarian, and she was trying to educate her mother, my mother-in-law, on why she thinks you shouldn't eat meat, right? And so my mother-in-law said, well, honey, if it was that dangerous, the government wouldn't allow it. And her and I just were like, what? We can't. So that's the attitude none of us can have, that the government will protect us by not allowing things.
Have you seen our food pyramid in the United States?
Yeah.
Like our food pyramid was written and built basically by corporations.
And to no discredit to my mother-in-law, that's just something that the government tells us to think. Like, we will protect you. We won't allow you to buy marijuana. See, we're protecting you. We won't allow you to, I don't know, like, they're not. Right. That's phallus. That's phallus. That's fatuous is what it's not phallic. It's fatuous.
Phallus. What are you thinking about on this anniversary day?
Stop, Clayton. Stop. I'm not doing any shows with you anymore on our anniversary. You're not subtle. The subtlety's gone.
Sad trombone. Drink that water. You're going to need it. So this is fresh water. At least fresh water you've got.
And this is glass.
Yeah, and well, a lot of people across America don't have fresh water, unfortunately. We obviously been talking about the Flint water case, right? Here's just another example of state governments and corporations just doing what they want and covering things up, and these poor people end up drinking lead water and getting cancer and all kinds of other developmental issues as a result of it. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. Well, we've got news this morning about Flint. There's an update on Flint. You thought, oh, hey, you know what? It's great. They probably cleaned up Flint, Michigan, right? They probably cleaned up these waterways and taken care of things. No. Here's Jordan Cheriton. We know it, Jordan. Remember how the corporate media has been pushing the lie that Flint's water is now safe for years without actually reporting in Flint or speaking with residents there? Well, Legionnaire's disease is a deadly waterborne bacterial disease, which is now broken out in Flint.
Oh, my God.
So now these disease numbers of Legionnaire's disease are running rampant through, is it Genesee County? The number of Legionnaire's disease cases in the county this year is already higher than it was recorded all of last year and has matched the number of cases reported in 2019.
Oh, bless them, the people who live there. You have no recourse to protect your baby, just as a mom thinking about these people who cannot move and cannot ensure that their babies have safe baths.
Yeah, they're handing out bottled water last week in another county in Michigan. They're saying, hey, don't drink the water. It's okay, though, for you to take a shower in it and wash your hands. That's what they were telling people.
I mean, your skin absorbs toxins.
As you pointed out last week on the show, your skin is the largest organ in the body.
Yes.
And you have pores. I don't know if you've ever looked at a face, but there's pores on your skin.
That's why you get pimples.
So why in the world would you take a shower in this toxic chemical, but you just shouldn't drink it, though?
When you have no choice, right? God. That's when you do what my grandma called a PTA bath is. Pits, the T word and the A word.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to PTA bath. PTA. You'd be like, Grandma, did you take a bath today? I did a PTA. God. But
Grandma was dirty.
No. Grandma had clean parts.
God.
Oh. Okay. We're not going to talk about it.
Anyway, yeah. So that's the update on what's happening with these corporations. Again, unbelievable. And that's why we bring it here, because you won't see these stories in the mainstream media. They will not cover these stories. And we will continue to bring these stories to you because we are not bought and sold by people like Pfizer and big corporations.
Kathy tells me about using a different type of or using ball jars, but sanitizing them in a certain way to minimize the chemical impact on her food, which is awesome. I use WEC jars, which do not have any lining at all, so you might want to look into that. That's WECK. That also is available in the U.S., and it worked. So I'd never done it before. It was very exciting. I made a chili today that I had preserved the tomato sauce, and it went when I pulled out that's so exciting.
That's so satisfying.
So exciting.
Thanks for subscribing to the channel. You can also become a channel member by going to morninginvest.com/join, where you can stick it to the mainstream media and support independent journalism. We're able to bring you the stories that you won't see on any of the major billionaire-backed networks. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time, everyone.